Okay, this is the Tampa Bay Wallpaper Installer coming to you with another quick tip on how to, in this case, repair your wallpaper seams. Okay, now this is a beautiful, it looks like snakeskin wall covering. Okay, this is vinyl, and the pattern was difficult to match, and so we installed this from the center. So we made our line in the center and then installed each piece to the left and to the right, respectively, from the center line. Now, as thin wallpaper will do, the seam fractured because the evaporation takes place of the liquid inside of the glue and also the wetting of the paper. And so now we have a shrinking as the fluids evaporate. The paper constricts and then she draws away, okay? And she'll draw away from the edges here and then also in the center. So this is typical. Now, how do you repair this, okay? Well, one of the ways that you can repair this is to go to Staples and I think I paid $10 for this. This is a color pencils that have a wide array of colors that mostly will match any wall covering paper, any wall covering color of the wallpaper that's out there. So what I did was I opened up the seam again with a very careful tool. I used this first to get this under the paper. And then I also have another tool that you can find at Home Depot or Lowe's, which will actually get under the paper as well. Usually I will hook this onto my vinyl. If I have an installation and I'm up in the corner and you know how sometimes like the paper gets stuck in the corner, but you need to still pull it out to slide it over and stuff. Well, this thing, you hook it underneath on the back side and you pull it off. It's a great little tool. Anyway, just like a doctor would, you lift the seam like this, and you it's actually, you see, once you get the thing hooked, you turn it around, and you're using this end of it, the smooth end of it, to simply give yourself some room on that paper by which you could reattach the seam, okay? You want a good amount of it, okay? Now, if the wall covering is not coming up, you certainly don't want to force it, okay? But if it's loose, by all means, you want to get as much of the seam up as you can. Now, one of the tricks that you'll find with this crayon is a torch. You don't want to be there all day trying to put color onto your wall covering. It's best if you melt it. Here's why. Think about how color would look on wall covering by just simply writing on it, or if you melted it on there. What do you think would stay? Melt your crayon, let it drip onto a little brush, and then brush it on, or whatever, a little stick, whatever you can do to get that color. Usually we're just talking about little nicks in paper, but you do, even if you use the pencil itself, if you put the flame to the tip and you just touch it. Okay, so what I did was I recolored my fracture, okay? So I put the blue in there, okay? So then I have a special glue here. This is a very tacky clay-based glue. I don't want to come back here, okay? This is a very tacky substance. I'm just going to put this in my seam. Obviously, this is not the way you would do it when you first install it. I mean, we don't want glue on our wall covering. If some of you say, hey, why isn't he using tape? Well, let me tell you something. You use tape on pigmented paper like this, you might pull the color off. Okay, so now I've showed you on a previous video what to do on repairing seams, and I see that that video is particularly getting popular up there. You just look at this installation here, this reinstallation of the seam. I'm simply guiding that seam back into place, that's all, okay? The seam is supposed to be nice and tight. I'm just putting it back into place. Now, take a look at the color coming off onto the glue, okay? So with these particular colors, you tend not to overwork seams and corners because the color will come off onto your rag. Let's see. So we just want to go gently using a very wet rag. This is particularly wet, okay? I want the least amount of friction on my surface. And actually, not much is coming off onto the rag, if anything at all. Let me try to stabilize this camera for you. Okay. What do you think? Isn't that something? Now, if you have OCD, so to speak, you might wind up overdoing the seam. And for that, I would say shame on you. You shouldn't do that. Okay, so one last pass with this. Watch how I'm going to do it now. Watch the movement. Watch this. Why am I doing that? It's the best way to put that seam back into place. Back and forth. Back and forth. Okay? You're dissipating the glue by doing this, and it does it quickly. It's the best way to do it. Okay. Don't overdo it. If you overdo it, you're going to mess it up. You know, you've been there in your life, right? When you you do a repair on something, and then, just happened to me on another job, you go that extra minute, and then you realize now you got an hour or two more work to do because you couldn't keep your hands off of it after good enough was sufficient. But this is more than good enough. This is perfect. See that? It's perfect. Feel a little tackiness. I displaced some of the glue, give it another wipe down. Okay. I'm loving it. I also went up there at the top and I took my pencil and I drew a little bit above the paper. Now, I normally don't show you these little things. Perhaps somebody who's hiring a wallpaper installer they don't understand that these are the tricks a wallpaper installer uses. But let's face it, there are things where you have to improvise. You have, wallpaper's expensive. There are repairs, and this is by veteran wallpaper hangers. They have their color pencils set and their torches outside, and they're, when you have on a big commercial job, let's say, you have an electrician driving a high-low and he bangs into your wallpaper. Guess what? The first thing the GC is going to want is for you to come back and do some magic on that paper. Because if you pull wallpaper off of a recent installation within the last 72 hours, you're likely going to take some of the substrate off of it, which requires more plastering, more wait time, and then, they're waiting on a COO to get the place open. He's going to say, hey, come on in here, heat this up, do whatever you got to do to repair this. And this is what we do to repair it. Okay, this is Spencer, the Tampa Bay wallpaper installer, coming to you from Wesley Chapel, Florida, on this beautiful day in April. I don't really know the date because I've been working so long, so much lately that I don't know the date. I think it's the 20th. Isn't that beautiful? So if you like this video, please click on like. If you don't mind, subscribe to my channel so that I can continue to make these great videos and share them with you, share them with your friends, and let's wallpaper the world. Okay, see you on the next one.